sort of sounds we usually use are electronic sounds of various sorts, and also sounds that are recorded, picked up by a microphone, everyday sounds, and also musical instruments.
Regulus one, which I don't know how that relates to different ones of the different synchronistic things. Like I don't know, but it's been a while since I'd visited that, but it's been cool kind of revisiting it since seeing you post some things, but I haven't really quite like dug into this stuff again. But that was something that, like, because one thing that always kind of struck me was the whole idea of the joints and fingers. I was like, well, that seems pretty reasonable. Like that there might be some cosmic connection with our fingers and joints.
Yeah.
And
like
I mean, there's 13 moons in the year, you know. And then like these turtles, from what I'd remembered was that like there's certain tortoises that I think they all have the 13 in the middle. I think certain species maybe have the 20, or maybe it's, I'm not sure. I thought that was cool though, so I brought that up to him. But it's been a little while.
For sure. And you know, that's kind of the interesting thing is like similar, like a long time ago, like I first read something beyond technology or whatever, the Mayan something by Jose.
Sure. Okay.
And I read that one, and that was like when I was in my 20s. I'm like my late 30s now, and so I read like that, and I read like a bunch of other stuff, you know. And so like it was like something that I always was like, that I read, and I always was like in my like back of my head, it was like, I wish I had more time to like maybe actually do it instead of just like read it, like actually like do the count, actually like reflect every day, and actually like, you know, because like one time around that time too, I was reading The Art of Dreaming, and then I read this other book, Toltec Dreaming. And so I started to do some of the stuff, you know, like in The Art of Dreaming, it tells you to like look at your hands, and then from there you do other things. And then like also too, when you're dreaming, like in your house, there like are different areas that are better or worse for different type of stuff. And I started to do that, and I started to like realize, you know, like different areas of the house. Like there's this one area in the house that I do not sleep anymore, because that's always like the area where like I remember one time I forgot, and I took a nap there, and then I like it was like one of those like sleep paralysis dreams, and like like all this like weird stuff happened. I was like, I forgot, don't sleep in that area, and it was kind of weird. And so but anyways, you know, there's like, it's interesting things about like that are cool to explore. And so anyways, speed up to now. Actually, I think Mandala Narrative came out of like a miscommunication between me and John, like early on when we were chatting. Like I like assumed something, and he assumed something of me, and then we're like, oh yeah, Mandala Narrative, and then so like later I start to like, okay, I like how that sounds, and then I'm like, what does that mean? And I've been beginning to like scratch at that, and then I started to tie in the Mayan thing, because I was like, okay, I need something that I've always kind of liked and already know, but like I always wanted to like, just like that dreaming thing, like do. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna actually like do the Mayan count like every day, and like, you know, actually give space and time for it, and just see, you know, similarly to like The Art of Dreaming is like, you know, explore it. And it's been cool to just like what I posted today, use language to expand the frequency of like what I could express and even explore, because like doing the mind count early on, I had this weird dream of Kukulkan. And he was like this like feather serpent, but it was like the wind, which today is the wind. And it was like, but it was like, you know, like on any psychedelics, like the patterns in the like the fabric of reality. So it was like this wind, but it was like this entity within the fabric of reality, like dancing and like communicating to me. This was like early on when I was doing it. I was like, okay, This is cool. I could explore this. This is like a good energy of like getting that creative energy to do stuff. Like early on, we talk about like noise. You know, like the noise of everyday life. Be like a dream eater, like suck away your dreams, and make it hard to either be creative in your thoughts, like playing in your thoughts. That's what like Imaginarium for me means. And then also too, like actually like dreaming, and I think that's what I more that I want to like dig into is like dream logic and exploring a little bit of like the weird trickster stuff. But yeah.
Oh, that trickster, man, he gets in there.
I like that whole Mandala narrative, happy accident thing. Bob Ross.
Yeah. That was one of those very long-running, unfinished projects I have. I had this concept album idea, and it was going to be all multimedia, and I thought of a poster for it. Was very Mandala-like. It was to have like elements from all the songs, but integrated. And I was telling Satori about that, and I think that's where you started describing what, like, how in your mind's eye what I was talking about, which I didn't know what I was talking about. Like, I'm not a disciplined artist. I just get these ideas, but I really like the balloon game mindset, sensibility. It's effective, and I'm almost like too sensitive to it or whatever. But and this is where I get a little bit new agey, nerdy with it. But in my birth chart, I have Mercury, Venus, the sun, and the moon all packed together in the seventh house, in the sign of Aries. And then the sun and the moon are across from Pluto. So that's sort of my introverted side as I see it, Mars and Taurus. And I see all that as like balancing against this weird tendency to extroversion. Like, very few people who know me would call me convivial or very extroverted, but there is something about me that like craves that sense of engagement, which it reminds me of that clown mention, I guess. I was just reading the article that pertained to that, like the circus. That I've sort of played with that from a young age. I wrote this story where a kid runs off to join the circus and like has a breakdown in the ring and gets a new nickname. Yeah, that was after reading Kafka, I guess. You expose yourself to styles, then you can combine them and play around with them. I didn't have the discipline to keep reading. The worst mistake I ever made was I allowed myself to just let that fade away, and then like my whole trajectory, moving out of my high school hometown to go to college, get out of my parents' house, and started, quote unquote, finding myself instead. And here we are, having found one another.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, I guess I have a slightly similar but opposite story of where in high school I was in a technical school and my major was computer science, and at the end it was like a senior year. There was like a revolt in computer science because like a lot of us were failing, but it was like the only class that we were failing. We were all like doing really good in other classes, but like I don't know, it was like they gave us an impossible task to like program like this Tetris game, and I don't know, it was just like all of us failed and it really messed us up. And anyways, me and three of us, we did this video and we did a spoof of Office Space, where they beat up the fax machine, but we beat up a monitor and it's called Real Programming G's. And it's funny, my friend edited it, and I remember that was like the first time, because we do it and we didn't. Okay, we're all of us were the camera person, and then it just so happened that this guy walking with his kid were taking a hike where we were filming, and he became the third camera guy to like pan to like do the final scene or whatever. And I just remember it, like even his kid is like in the background in the scene. And if it wasn't for him, it like the thing wouldn't have came together. But I remember when we were filming it, and my friend was telling me about it. I'm like, I don't see this coming together. And then I remember him like editing it, and then I remember him giving me one of the video edits, and I'm like, holy shit, that's pretty good. And then that was like the first time I ever did like create like a media like that or whatever. But it was funny because we were frustrated with fucking our computer science, and so like after that I was like, fuck computer science, and I basically narratively became a Dharma bum. Like I would like even in college ditch class and go and read like Jack Kerouac and William S. Burroughs and Allen Ginsberg and the acid test and all that kind of stuff. Like I would like even be like, okay, I could ditch this lecture. Like I'm already caught up on all the reading. Like I just need to do good on the test, and then I'll go in the library and read all these books. And then I was like, then in my own head, I like always like I'm a Dharma bum because I really like that book.
Yeah.
And then it's funny now to see my life, like I'm coming back to like not even like using what I learned like programming, but like just as using that as a model to like express and even play around with stuff in a different way, and even to like I remember early on one of the first talk I heard Douglas Rushkoff. He was there. Actually, I was there to listen to Daniel Pinchback, and he was talking about 2012 and the Mayan calendar and shit.
Oh shit! Was that in Berkeley?
Yeah.
Oh man, did you? Someone uploaded the video from that, and that used to be like what I showed people as like one of my like introductions to Douglas Rushkoff, and like kind of in opposition to the 2012.
Yeah.
Kind of quasi hysteria of the pre-2012, or like just I wouldn't say hysteria, but like the perhaps overblown idea that like something huge was going to happen.
Kind of like the kind of mythical or like fantastic thinking of it. But anyways, like that's what I went there to listen to Pinchbeck talk, and I remember it was like halfway through. I even recently went through it and I have a clip of it. But there's like a portion where Doug's like, whatever, and then he starts talking about the Bible and going back into like the Old Testament and like decoding that and that as like source code, and just him like talking about that, and I'm like, okay, I can see that, and just like thinking about it in that meta sense, but using an analogy and language that I could use too, like the model that I could use in my own head to like reorganize and think about stuff too.
You mean the myth of Christianity, or I mean the Bible, or what is this with the programming?
Yeah, like it's source code for civilization.
Yeah.
Like if you look through it and see like the beginning was the word, like sort of they're being esoteric knowledge kind of within this thing that most people see or take more directly, kind of like that. Yeah, I don't know, like because I haven't studied it too much, but I feel like I remember some of the points he's made.
But so it was kind of funny. Ever since then, I was like, okay, I stopped like reading or even like not even like reading Pinchbeck, but it's just more that like, okay, I got into Rushkoff because of that talk, and it's just a lot more useful to use like the stuff that he's doing. I found like the same thing too, like which is kind of interesting. Even though I love Terrence McKenna and his voice too is so easy to use in a video edit, but for my own research, my own research and study is like I prefer Robert Anton Wilson, and I think it's like a lot of similar. The language is a lot more stripped down, but it's a lot more useful.
Sometimes there's like less certainty is required from people talking about something.
So yeah. Maybe logic is
like,
very
you don't
important.
yeah.
And that's
was wild. You were there. So just because, like, just these coincidences. Like, I mean, I've talked to John about this. I see
that
his
as
sun,
like
Moon,
a
Mercury, and Venus is all Aries. Same with me. And then you were at this talk that I've been trying to find online again, but I couldn't find it. But it's definitely like a memorable. It somewhere.
I'll throw it in the chat or in the
It's wild you were actually there.
But
he's talking about ayahuasca too and being in the chandelier.
Testament.
Huh?
The comic book that Rushkoff did about that.
Yeah, Testament.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I think the only time I've heard him mention it on Team Human was with Grant Morrison, where he just kind of drops this aside that he thought of it as his life's work. And I'm like, wow, that's cool, because I could see that sort of being potentially nonfiction in a metaphorical sense, if one's gonna hold any hope for that kind of, I don't know, viral culture to do a good thing.
Yeah. And this kind of reminds me of what you were mentioning about never thinking about language as a virus from outer space set to entrap us. And that's actually from Genesis. Him and Doug are talking, and he says DNA is a virus from outer space to entrap us previously immortal beings into mortal beings. And I remember him saying that too, and I was like, oh my god, that's really good. And that's like an evolution of something William S. Burroughs used to say, that language is a virus from outer space. And I was just like, oh my god. And I was like, I just like kind of like thinking about that, because it gives me this really eerie feeling. Like, talk about insect time.
Yeah. I feel like he enjoyed playing with mythologies, like the way we can create them and the way they can affect us.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very Gnostic in a sense. I've been learning a little about this from watching Vervaeke. But when the Gnostics first started, this sort of umbrella term for these movements that all wanted to like uncover what's really going on of all these jackass gods and goddesses throughout history. Like, maybe they're just evil. Maybe it's all the dumb, corrupt demiurge god's fault. And it just becomes like this impulse to transcend not just the self, but the world. At least this is how he framed it. But I can kind of feel that. Like, was talking with Shad about this. Like, one has a taste sometimes for that kind of like dark and slow burn stuff, like watching Daredevil or Blade Runner or Bug Eye, which kind of brings it back to Burroughs, I guess. I don't know, but he definitely seems to have enjoyed taking things apart.
Yeah. Totally. Hey, what's up within the vacuum?
Hey guys, everything good?
So did you like the chat, the Mayan chat with the music? You should play with that a little bit. The thing that I sent you.
Oh yeah, I just downloaded the singing alone.
Yeah.
But I heard the other version with the Satori, man.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Beautiful. that's the album version, I believe. I don't know. I just love it. I it was like, like that was it. You know?
Totally.
It complements perfect.
And that was one of those things that happened. I'm putting it in quotes. No one can see me, but randomly, right? So I just finished the edit for Are You Serious, right? And so I'm like, okay, organizing the file and making a file for you on my video editor, and then like I'm like also to kind of like getting new videos to mess around with, and then that like plays because I was looking at it. I was thinking of like doing something with it, and it plays, and then like as I'm moving your file over, like I click on the thing and it plays, and I go, oh my god, this kind of goes together, and I'm like, okay. I'm like at first, but I was like, okay, I'm not gonna explore that right now. What I'm gonna explore is what I noticed earlier was because I was listening to your song a lot, right? And it was the bubbling of the water, and I'm like, oh, I need something really, really good to like bring that out, and I didn't have anything. And then I was looking at those like microfilms, and I saw the bubbling, and I just saw it, and I'm like, oh, this is it. I gotta do it. And then so I told you, I'm like, hey, I'll probably have something tonight, but like it took me only like 2 hours. And then I was like, and then so after I did your video edit, I put the chanting over your song, and I was just like, oh my god, this is just like Toonzoo, you know?
yeah, and it's perfect, you know. It's like I can't explain. It's just, oh my god, it's really amazing. It's so cool. I'm talking to friends to look for a nice location to make some video, like like for playing or something. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, because oh man, for the next song I have this other footage, and it's really nice. It's like really brings out like the prism of light. That's all I can say. Like we're gonna explore the prism of light in all its glory.
Okay.
But yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Man, I'm you know like how I felt like when I released, you know, like still not release it at all, but you know, like to put it, like to feel like, okay, this is my part is done, at least you know, like some part of it. Oh yeah, I feel very, very good. You're just excited about it, you know. Like the other day, I went to the club at night and play with Pachi, who's actually the drummer from Light of Day, and this other guy, Michael Rose, who used to play with Muddy Waters.
Damn, Muddy Waters is awesome.
Yeah, the guy is awesome. It plays a lot. So we jam. It's an open night for musicians. So you get there and you take a guitar and play out with them. And this other guy, Jorge Araya, who is a really good bass player here. So yeah, we jam out some tunes just for fun. So yeah, I'm back.
Heck
yeah. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, John? You were gonna say something earlier.
Yeah, sorry, we let the discussion to another place. I'm sorry.
I did much the same. I've been tapping this drum here. I've been kind of.
There was this thing, and I couldn't find the website to reference it correctly, but basically the concept was like exquisite audio, where the project was that like they had certain ideas or concepts, and then they rented out the studio, and like people would have like jam sessions, and there would be all this audio, and then like later they go and edit it. And he said he got inspired by who was it? Oh my god, it was some jazz player used to do this, where it was just like a lot of sessions of them jamming out, and then later editing and layering on top of things, and yeah, I feel like what we're talking about going deeper. So like within the Vacuum's final cut of the song is like this really great vivid exploration of the sounds to like really have a good start to like build upon, and like we could keep on like expanding it or going wherever, but like that's like our Axie Mundi, our central point to create mandalas of sound and playing with. I think it would be fun.
Definitely. It is more, as you said before, is more dynamic. There's more dynamic in the new track, and it really creates a different scenario, right? Like,
do you guys have it available where we could like listen to it now?
Yeah, there's a link. I think I put it.
I just started.
You put it on the group.
Like, I keep wanting to play music or listen to music.
This gonna you're gonna like this.
Before the document about shaking the pumpkin at Frog Pond, there's a link for so you can watch it on the shared content.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the one I watched then, unless you've updated it. I haven't checked the document.
This is a shorter and a slightly different audio than the other one.
Right.
Yeah.
With the chants, right?
No. The chant is a different one. This is the.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have heard the chant one, which is a good one. I want to do a different visual for that though.
I remember that video though, like those popping bubbles, they stick with you.
Yeah, and in the newer one, it's a lot better too with the bubbles.
The exquisite corpse though. I played that with my friend, like on the paper. You fold it up, and it's like at the borders of your tile of the folded paper it's sort of this threshold where it's like the telephone thing. It goes from being your drawing to their drawing, and they continue your drawing. So as you were talking about audio, exquisite audio corpse, whatever, it's like we know where the borders are with sound, or we can make borders and like continue things that way. Like we could do it right now, or like just gibberish. You guys ever play music with gibberish or glossolalia is the technical term, I believe.
Speak some tongues. Speak some tongues.
What is it?
Is there German in the chat?
Well, I was thinking of Snow Crash, where they talk about glossolalia, but from what I understand with that, it's like it's speaking in tongues, right? Is glossolalia kind of like you said, gibberish. Similar. Like I haven't. Makes me think of jazz scat, but that's a little more structured, I guess. But pretty much the same thing.
I used to actually write lyrics like that, or that was one of my strategies to get around the writer's block. I'd just sort of vocalize the lyrics, and then I'd go back and try to decipher them so they made sense, which wasn't always successful.
Talking about the other thing you were saying about the mandala and all of that, and the mystical part of it, right? There is a discussion there if like we use mystical terms to explain something that is technical in the background, right?
Sometimes, at least.
Yeah.
The debate is if that veil that that has to be like open, or should be, or the mystical structure has to stay
hidden.
No, it's not hidden. Is embedded in systems, in religious systems, and sects, and all kinds of whatever. But it's mystical, It's something that is out, right? And it's not only out; it's far from you.
There was,
you know what I mean? The mystical concept is that there's some god over there watching you.
Or there's this debate in the comments after an article Satori shared that talked about the clown, the circus dimension, and all these other psychedelic elements. And for everyone, he took this deflationary approach where he shrunk it down to where he could attribute it to his brain's desire for security, and to personify that with a god or a spirit or an archetype. And people were really giving it to him in the comments, several of them saying you're just not experienced enough to realize that this is all real. Those are real spirits that you're perceiving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't quite know what to make of it.
That's funny.
That's another thing, like the term spirit, for example.
Yeah.
The term spirit, we use it in a mystical sense.
I went back because I did that. I went back and I did that final edit, and I forgot how to pronounce it. Zhai, the Chinese philosopher about the butterfly.
Yeah.
And he was talking about there was a quote, and it was something about the house of 1,000 philosophies or whatever. But anyways, he was like, okay, the problem with you falling into a philosophy is that you because you want to be right or for power or authority, or for power or whatever, you lose a little bit of your soul, for the greater good or whatever, and then you kind of get hollowed out. And I think that the word is a vessel, and that it's containing or even pointing to something real, even in these myths about Baku or whatever. Maybe it's talking about a certain aspect. And when we're talking about how language affects perception, there was this study where certain tribes didn't have a word for blue, so it was very hard for them to distinguish blue out of a panel of green, because they didn't have a word for it. So they weren't able to play and really fine tune that perception. And I think in a lot of ways that's what a lot of these thoughts either expand or our reality tunnel, our way to play around in these different frequencies. And there's information there, whether, I think, even talking about it being real or not, I think what Within the Vacuum was pointing to, there's this thing about the deep mystery. It's always going to be a mystery. It's always beyond our grasp, and that's what the kind of one thing of the dream logic. The more you try to grasp it, it seems to fall out of your hands like sand, and then you wake up you're
hides from you.
Yeah.
Everywhere but nowhere.
And you're just oh no.
Yeah.
It's the Hadron Collider. It's exactly like that. It's trying to dig into the infinite to looking for it,
just to decide what I'm going to do today, I need a Large Hadron Collider to do my calculation.
Yeah.
I do be like that sometimes.
But the Imaginarium at times acts like
I'm kidding.
Acts like a hadron collider. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if you get really dank spores and you just throw them in there, there's a chain reaction that lives on its own. You're just
Exactly.
like, ah!
Yeah, totally. But another thing is that if you pay attention to the process in nature and you follow it, you realize that in this reality, this world, whatever it is, it tends to go to search its own balance. It's like naturally it goes there, to find balance, to find equilibrium in the structures and in the plants and how the forest is balanced, and it gets there. It gets to harmonize the structures and the environment, and it's the same for us, like that's why the teachings about to be still and silence, because it's in a way is to let things go to get to its point of balance. If we don't put our hands there,
yeah,
it's going there. It's going there naturally, and we're just surfing.
If ever I get cramped in my life where I have no space for silence, then there's a space for silence that opens within. But if we knew how to project that outwardly, then we might understand some things that we don't about community, sustainability. We get so hung up on the second law of thermodynamics about the tendency toward entropy that we forget about the first one, the balance. I'm trying to glean some about dynamical systems theory from reading people like Jeremy Lent, and it's these attractors, but in the midst of this tendency toward entropy, like sometimes order appears and things go the other way, negative entropy, negentropy. But I feel like there's something missing still, like we need to overturn this fixation on the slow slide of the universe toward entropy. Who decreed that? That's like a death mentality. It's what if it really was this more balance of entropy and negentropy? Alan Watts even said he saw it as a balance where the negentropy was always slightly ascendant instead of the other way around.
Talking about natural systems?
I guess he was
towards order.
Yeah, I think he was trying to convey like a Hindu mindset.
Yeah.
Whenever
I feel like that's a lot of most religious. I feel like, or like anyone who believes in anything, I feel like there's kind of some sort of order to it. I hadn't really thought about how like, it is a well quote or like sourced or like referenced idea that the second law of thermodynamics, but like that seemed antithetical to the general feeling that most people have that are paying attention. There's some sort of order, like it's supposed to be a law that it's not really questioned. Like even like I think gravity is like the theory of gravity, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's a law of thermodynamics. It's like chaos, but
yeah.
It's like when you see
I
in the
think
earth. Any natural disaster in the past, now it's a natural beauty, like Yucatan,
yeah.
where meteorites.
You
It's
know,
like that kind of process. Like when the chaos came, and after that, you get that marvels.
yeah. You know, there's a phrase that I reference a lot that consciousness is not computation. It's more like music, the music of the universe. And going back to like there's like these ratios and dynamics at different scales, and then like this like dynamic dance of it playing out in all its different possibilities within like that's those scale dynamics. And like because at like different levels there's all sorts of weird dynamics that are happening within us at all levels.
Yeah.
Music can be
Yeah.
included one sort of beautiful thing in the universe. Like
With shaking
Caught
the pumpkin, I was thinking about that process of, well, it's like with the Chladni plates. What's the word for it? Something kymatics.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I met it.
With shaking the pumpkin, I was thinking our memes, let's just say,
Yeah.
can be likened to grains bouncing around on this plate that is shifting. So the contours, like the writing on it, I don't know,
Yeah.
characters.
Like we're inside the pumpkin and the sand is shaking and we can see it.
Yeah.
Pumpkins all the way down, all the way around.
Yeah. But the pumpkin is like the Taurus, right?
Oh
yeah.
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 Just this pumpkin folding into itself.
Yeah. When we get into the middle, we get destroyed, but like recombine on the other side of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collapsing and expanding all at the same time.
Labyrinthine packages like cerebral windings, flesh.
But that's kind of like within the vacuums like symbol right there. Those are like the little sand dots.
That symbol is the axis of the structure. So I choose them and make little squares in each. So it looks like some kind of order, but it's it's random in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's. I'm so glad it kind of reminded me right now. But I think what for this week and this cycle within the vacuum, that we make that the song into like shaking the pumpkin at Frog Pond, like a soundscape for like how we bring in like the main video edit and then like use to do different things with. So I don't know. Just initially, I was thinking, do you have access to frogs and start playing with frog noises?
Dude, we have frogs around here sometimes. This time of year, I'm not sure if we have them here. Otherwise, I've been wanting to sample some frogs, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Sampling some frogs.
Yeah, there's some good frogs out here. I'm up in Pennsylvania right now.
Okay, cool.
And there's some, I hear some frogs outside the right time of year.
Nice.
There's a big state park near me, 3,000 acres.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
cool.
I go, spend some time out there, but I'll definitely, sometime this year, I'll try to get some frog samples.
Okay, yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of some frogs.
I was thinking that maybe you can add the track, the singing track to the new version also. Satori, I don't know. What
Okay.
you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play
It's
with
like
it.
part of the song.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's
Totally.
well, I don't know if it's better with the other version. With the other version, it's amazing because the crescendo, you can feel the crescendo with the singing.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
also change like you give more effect and less effect to the voices. In some parts, oh man, it's perfect. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's like,
See,
it touch my heart,
Totally.
Amazing. Amazing. I was like, oh, this is the track, finally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, magical. And where do you get that sample?
I found it on YouTube. There's some group. It was like an older one, but they're like a yoga group or whatever, and they had like a book study or something. I don't know, but yeah, they did the chanting.
How I get to the chatbot today is because I was looking I was looking that in the Brave search, and he recommends me the chatbot, so I started with that. Like what I was looking in the Brave searcher. But no, definitely we have to. Yeah, it sounds magnificent.
Totally, we'll start building on that. Also too, just like with the music, like how are you gonna, like, where are you gonna put it up? Because like we should start adding that like link to like all the videos and everything in Imaginarium.
Yeah. I think you guys know how to do that better than me. Like you can do it.
I
You
would,
can take it
yeah. But I would suggest, for you,
Yeah.
do you have already like a Bandcamp, or I know you have a what is the one you use, Audius, or there's another one too, Rocky?
Yeah, I have Audius. I think I have Rocky, but I didn't put anything there yet. But
yeah, I would say do both. Like set up Bandcamp and then set up stuff on Rocky. And then what we could do too is, like as we build this, is like with every release and whatever, we keep on building going and pushing, what do you call it, the Bandcamp and stuff like that. Because I think what it's about, what we're getting to, and just listening to our own organic rhythms, it's about like getting deeper into these elements, right? And exploring these things that we already talked about. And that's just kind of how I opened up about like I always wanted, like, it was like on, for lack of a better word, my bucket list, right? To really dig into the Mayan count, and just like having that as a practice like opened up other avenues, or helped me explore and expand and bring a different, widening a lens, a different like template and palette of colors. When I think about my own artwork and my own practice, it's really the video editing. I find like this thing that I keep on like working at, and I keep on practicing at, and like it's much like I would, like you with the vacuum, like it's my instrument. I keep on working at it and doing it, because like I just know, like when I combine it all together, that like that's like my way to, because it started off early on in Imaginarium, and like we're talking about art, but like, can I make the whole thing like art? And like that's a tall order, but like I keep striving for that, and I think you get this good little weird balance of it,
Yeah, that's what happens. Like you have to do it.
Yeah,
you just have to do it.
I like those videos. Yeah. No, just the videos and everything everyone's making. It's good. Like, there's lots of things I could spend my day, my conscious hours checking out. It's nice to see stuff that like is inspiring and or like thought provoking, or brings me back to a place of some sort of kind of like wholeness, or like some sort of just awareness of a part of myself that is always there, but like most things that is coming are would come through the rectangles on the wall, or the whatever rectangles in my pocket are glowing, like most things aren't really. I mean, I try to keep inspired sources, but like, I don't know, it's nice to have more the more like raw inspired sources we're producing here. Like, I don't know if that really makes sense. I just saying I appreciate the videos and like it and the musics and the just hearing like clips from the chats, because it's it provokes something within us that's a bit more like just positive spirit provoking than a lot of the options out there that are usually push certain algorithm that are trying to be fed to us.
Totally.
Kind of have to like look into the circles that might have that inspiration, so you can get it a bit easier than or to turn on the TV. You're not really gonna get that.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting too, because like I was hanging out with my friend earlier, and she brought along her friend, and we're smoking, and then they were talking about what I was going to do later, and I was mentioning this, and I'm always like, don't like using the term podcast, but like for someone to like, when I first like talk about like what I do, I use it, but then I'm always like, oh, I don't like using that word. And so like as we talk about it, I was just like, I forgot what she said. Oh, in the conversation, do you guys like I forgot how she said. She was like saying something like debate, but she wasn't using the word debate, but like, like if we think different than each other. And I'm like, we don't all think the same, but like the point is not like to have a debate or have like tension. Is like then I go like how we phrase it, right? Shaking the pumpkin at Frog Pond, and I tell her about shaking the pumpkin is like referring to this, like setting this tone. And like back in the day, the Native Americans would like shake this pumpkin and the one person, just like what you were saying, the if you heard the call of crow or the crow song or whatever, there's like just like noises and it gets like into like this weird little groove, right? and it's like to get us in that charged space, like what we were talking about earlier. Like there's all this like things, this noise that, and like there's like we even to get things like simplistic, so like we're overwhelmed and truncating stuff, but then there's this whole other space of that is charged, and what in my own phrasing is called like the heartbeat of the universe, or even your own heartbeat, and stuff that I learned when I was doing stuff with Open Mic Night. One of our poets, she said that poetry is blood on the floor, and I always liked that, and then it's and I was like, it's about like getting to that place where, and I told her too earlier on, I learned this in Imaginarium, where I didn't even like to tell people that I was like recording, or even later to have like it framed as anything. It was just like, okay, all through the week we're kind of like tossing things back and forth, and it's just about us getting excited, and then like wherever it goes from there. And it's actually more interesting to see like where all the live threads emerge when you're talking about things or whatever's going on. So it was funny to try to like explain to my friend's friend about what I do. I always had that, like even like a long time ago when I was in the kitchen, I remember this, hey, what are you gonna do on your days off? Because I had like 2 days off, and I was like, oh, nothing. But in my head, nothing meant like, oh, I'm gonna read, I'm gonna have like this crazy talk, I'm gonna spend this time like doing video editing. So like when I said like nothing meant like, oh my god, I have the time to like fucking do all this like real stuff that I consider more real in a lot of senses than my work, my 9-to-5 job.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. But in my case right now, I have this job, and I'm having a good time, honestly.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's good people, everyone's very kind, and They're trying to do things well, and I
That's
find
good.
it very. Yeah, they're in transformational process actually, and yeah, I think they're becoming, even though it's a global corporation, they are going in a, at least as until I can see, it's a good direction. Like putting people first, and trying to balance and to be more uh good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I'm dealing with information about corporations from different places in Europe and all of that, and it's moving there. My eyes is like, man, it's like, everybody's going there. Okay, let's change into green stuff, energy. Let's search for different new options, and all of that. It's coming and it's happening, and to be honest, makes me feel more positive about the future and about what we could do. Like, and where this civilization can get.
That reminds me. Tomorrow I'm gonna talk with Streamer D. But yeah, we didn't really get into it, but things are not good in Turkey, to say the least. But he's doing his project, and I think that's something. As we wrap things up, we talk about ecosystems and building relationships and connections. Expressions of peace, and even John, you were digging into what do you call it, Daniel, and
Active Inference Institute.
Yeah, and doing just whatever we're connecting to too. I think what a part of like digging deeper is doing those notes. Like when I was doing open mic night, I would do video edits for everybody who read a poem, right? And
yeah,
after a while, the act of like doing that, when I would read everybody's poem, I would hear their voice in my head. Like the literal voice was like living inside my head as I read the poetry. But like listening and writing and creating that feedback loop, and what I do in the video edits, and I think what we do, mixing that in and creating these mandalas or these collages and building on top of these things. Not only, I think it helps to integrate like that kind of stuff within you, as it becomes like this practice. I think that's like.
Are you inviting us to make like visual mandalas for the edit?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I draw mandalas like every day.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
I was thinking too of doing this thing with Imaginarium, because we have this function. It's called Super Minds, and it, like, basically you send it to a channel and you offer them tokens, and you said, oh, this and that. But I'm going to create the tiles, because I have a bunch of tiles and I have a lot of elements, and like send the prompt of like, say for this cycle it would be Dream Eater, right, or Baku, depending on who I'm sending it to. I basically know everybody within Imaginarium, so I'll make it like edit it to them and like have some fun with it. But yeah, like building the tiles and building mandalas or drawing them and sending elements to layer on top of, the kind of like exquisite visuals. I mentioned this thing in the shared document, but it's exquisite quartz frequency project, and exquisite audio, exquisite visuals, and exquisite tiles. So there's like different sections, but like there's different things to play with, and like like someone like Eclipse in Binary, he does visuals too, but he'll be good to toss some audio to, Like
Yeah.
here's some elements and like play with it, and here's like a theme, Dream Eater or whatever, right? We'll see what he comes up with, and stuff like that. I think is really something to hammer out a little bit more, and to start like building on top of that. I think will be cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about the fourth track on the album, the guitars, the acoustic guitars, and that could be a remix.
Yeah, totally.
That track could be remixed. Yeah, it's like the same, like some.
And John's been doing hand drums, right?
Oh, off and on. It's had a religious moment once or twice with them. I used to feel like I couldn't do anything. Now the drums play me. Well, just let me know what the prompt is. I still really like the idea to plan in like these 3 days segments. Like I'm trying to get something together for myself with that.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Just anybody let me know if you want to experiment with that. Because otherwise,
I'm down.
I'll gear down for something that just I'm gonna reference.
No, because I was thinking like that as, but it'll be for the prompts for like people on minds. I'm just gonna make it like more simple about like just within the 13 cycle frame.
Definitely.
Whatever they do, but like for us here to create the elements, because like later that's what I think maybe the video edit will be. We work here on our own stuff, right? Because there's like stuff that I want to do more with the Bakusan poem, and even like create like weird music and be chanting and doing weird shit to really bring it out would be fun, and I want to explore this cycle. Yeah, totally.
Get crazy. You have to it. If you feel it.
Yeah. Especially here in this Discord and with Imaginarium, but it's all about like exploring that fun and creating that space. Like with the latest video edit, it was about like that feeling you were saying, the feeling when we were kids or whatever.
Oh yeah, man. That's the best feeling, like.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for making time for us. We'll wrap things up, but in that document, I have that little tab for the exquisite corpse frequency. Maybe we'll make a whole different document on that, and we'll start to have that there, so then we could build on top of that. Which
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Good night.
nice.
Okay, bye.
Bye.